Alright, here's a quick video on the Vortex Strike Eagle 5-25 first focal plane RevStop zero stop system, and trying to alleviate some of the confusion about why and how it limits your travel when you have it installed. So here are the numbers from my scope that I just picked up. So as received, without the zero stop, I got about 32.7 mils of travel overall, which is great. It's only advertised to have 31 mils. With the zero stop installed, still get the perfect amount or the full travel up, but only get 0.5 mils of down, just how they give you a little bit of down travel past your 0 point. But if we have it zeroed above optical center, say you got a 20 MOA rail on your gun or something like that, without the zero stop, you get the same 10 mil shift in your zero, so you still have the full travel available. However, once you put the zero stop in, you're limited to 18.9, or in my case 18.9 mils of up travel, and still the same prescribed half a mil of down travel. So this is an attempt to explain why that is. So this zero stop ring system, this is all it is a part that you install under your elevation turret. And we can see it's got a groove machined in both sides of it, with a little end of the keyway right there on both ends. So that engages with a couple of pins. I have the scope cap removed here, pull off the turret dial, and we can see that there's a pin on the turret post here, so that part's stationary and doesn't move. There's a corresponding pin on the other underside of the turret dial, and we can see that that pin is just a little bit over half a mil off of our 0 point. So that spacing is what gives you that half a mil of down travel that the system gives you, minus the width of our little keyway ends there on both sides. So once we put the zero stop in and we have that installed, you rotate it to stop, put your turret dial back on at the 0 point, somewhere around there. So once that's on, you have both your pins engaging in those grooves on that RevStop ring. Once you start to move it, you'll move this dial all the way around until that pin catches up to the end of the track here. And then once it hits the end of that track, it drags this RevStop dial around with it. This little guy just freewheels on the body. So you get almost one full revolution between the turret dial and the RevStop ring, almost one full revolution between the RevStop ring and the turret post. Turns out that in my case it's about 95% of the travel that you'd get out of 2 revolutions. On the MRAD version of the scope, each revolution is 10 MRAD. So 95% of 20 MRAD, 2 revolutions, works out to be 18.9. So that's where that number comes from. That's why you're actually limited. Because in order to make the dial stop when you hit your 0 point, it has to have some sort of hard stop. Otherwise you get the mushy zero stop like you do with like a washer or spacer type system. So that's why it's got a nice crisp zero stop that limits your travel. If that's a big deal for you, like me, I'm shooting this on a long range 22 rifle that'll be taking out past 500 yards. For some ridiculous matches, so I'm gonna figure out what size base I need to get this thing to be zeroed near the top end of its travel and just run it off its optical center. So that's the fix for doing that. Just leave the zero stop out and run it that way. Overall, the scope seems great. Love these adjustments on these dials, nice and tactile, good audible. They stop right on the index marks, not slightly off like a lot of times you'll have that issue. So yeah, definitely a good scope with positive feedback. So yeah, thanks for watching.